Hello. Welcome everyone to session 6. Is it of our new campaign?
It is.
Already forgetting.
Yeah, 6.
Oh yeah. Well, trust me. There's only so many sessions you can count before your brain explodes with information. So anyway, everyone's doing good. Ready to get some game in.
Here we
Hell
go.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, then let us crack on, shall we? If everyone has drinks and snacks and is ready and etc. etc. Let us begin.
Let's.
Last we left off. So last we left our heroes, our adventurers had made their way into the halfling village of Eilishire on the orders of Don Iden Viganza to search for Rodran Wood Elf incursions into the human territory of Rodrana. Having arrived at the town, the party's contact, the town apothecary, had gone missing, and while waiting for his return, the party shacked up at the Jolly Frog Inn and met Yarrow Merrymead, the daughter of the innkeep. Learning that Yarrow had found an elven brooch. I've accidentally just changed it. All right, yeah, here we go. Learning that Yarrow had found an elven brooch deep in the woods near some ancient ruins, the party asked her to guide them there. And upon the arrival to the ruins, the party were faced with a defeated squad of Rodrans, led by Hanira's brother Simeon, who were retreating to their stronghold using the ancient portals in the ruins. Discovering that the Wood Elves had been tracking a group of Sidan deserters, led by a figure named Eilis, who was soon planning on raiding the town for supplies to get them to Port Edron, the party led a defense of the town and met Eilis in a short battle. Luckily, the Wood Elves sent reinforcements, who surrounded and helped to capture the Sidan deserters. And upon interrogating Eilis, the party discovered that he was not fleeing just the war, but some mysterious prophetic figure known as the Assassin in Yellow, who had been killing shade wielders and is prophesied to bring in the end times for the elves of Adana. Thinking it was nonsense, Simeon ordered the elves to leave Eilishire and head back to the portal to Sethel. However, when the party got there, after most of the elven forces had already passed through the portal, a thick fog descended on the woods, and as the portal closed, there seemed to be some sort of interference. A thick fog descended on the woods. I said that already. Then walking out of the trees, you saw this huge, muscular man, he seemed like a man, dressed in a golden yellow robe with blue skin, and who dashed forward, attacking the Rodrans holding the line, instantly killing them, including Diok, the second in command, one of Simeon's friends. And disintegrating their bodies into thousands of tiny black marbles with his corrupted shade steel weapon. In the chaos, Eilis, the Sidan deserter, was magically pulled towards this assailant, and his shade steel blade was forced from him in an extremely brutal act. Ugo, however, managed to run up and grab Eilis and pull him to safety, and the party piled through the portal to escape. On the other side, you saw a lush, verdant valley high up in the mountains, filled with friendly creatures minding their own business, boulders that have open veins of rare ores and gold just out in the open that haven't been mined, as well as a gigantic tree rising so far into the sky that the top of it is obfuscated by the clouds above. The city of Sethel, the immortal city, and the city that Simeon has led you to, as well as the seat of the Kayadar. So, the thatched wooden gates to the city open, and a number of Rodrans rush out to tend to the wounded. They're not wearing the dark clothing of the hunters. Many of these townsfolk are wearing bright, colourful dress, made of stitched leaves of greens and blues and pinks. They wear beads in their hair and have multiple piercings in their face, in which flax is tied, dyed flax is tied in intricate patterns. Some people have almost pentagram style flax string in a pattern in their face. Others around wear veils, hiding their face completely, while some you see wear sort of deer antlers or bones and sticks in their hair to pin them up. The city behind the gate is unlike any city you've seen before. Looking into above into the air, you see the bottom of the tree, which is held above the city, probably about 50 or 60 meters in the sky, by 100-meter thick roots, which acts like a support structure, which just sort of holds the tree above the city. On the bottom of the tree above, you see sort of like hanging lanterns. You see colourful glowing fungus and moss, which casts a sort of perpetual light over the city below. On the outskirts of the city, going up the sides of the roots that lead to the top of the tree, lie multiple ladders, staircases, and various kinds of lifts. And you see tunnels sort of entering and exiting out of the tree trunk itself as it goes a bit higher. The buildings on this first level of the city are made from twigs and branches. You assume collected from the tree as they're needed, and they are masterfully woven and thatched so that the buildings are opaque and solid, not weak like you would have imagined at first. The main street rides down a main thoroughfare, surrounded by lots of smaller sort of like roads that split off it, which descends into the ground. And at the far side of the city, you see far in the distance a large cave network built into sort of like that just goes into the ground, where a whole bunch of roots also go down. Simeon says, "Welcome to Sethel. You are guests of the Kayadai here. You may go anywhere in the city you like, except for the roots below the grand tree. They descend far into the ground, further than even the Underdark, and people have been known to get lost and die in those tunnels."
Okay, are there any shops nearby?
We have no use for money. We only barter and trade in like for like.
Right. Okay. Well, is there anywhere I can procure some form of ranged weapon or...
Yes, of course. We have an armory. Let us see what the Kayadar says first, shall we?
Okay.
There are some other... he turns to the rest of you. There are some other rules that you should know in this city. There are no weapons to be taken inside the city itself. No blood must be spilled here. It is a great crime for us. And secondly, fire inside Sethel is forbidden.
Because big tree?
Exactly. We do not cook our food here. Everything we eat is as nature intended. We have groves and orchards that have fruits and vegetables for all of you. And the Kayadar also has a hex weave.
But no meat.
There is to be no meat eaten here.
Hugo looks
Assuming
visibly
this-
sick.
Yeah. Why do we rely on fresh produce if they have a hex weave? Surely the people can just utilize that.
They can. But unlike the Sidon, we like the luxuries of fresh fruits and vegetables. Hexweaves only produce a floury sort of substance, as well as milk. There's only so much of that you can really stomach.
I agree.
Milk? Like cow milk or dog milk?
Or is it that special kind of milk I heard about that's harvested from special nuts?
We are not entirely sure what kind of milk it is. We just know that milk is produced from the hexweave.
That doesn't sound appetizing.
Hexweaves can produce 4 things, he says, as he sort of leads you into the city. He says flour, milk, water, and blood.
I'm with you on 1, 2, and 3, but 4 is curious.
Where does the blood come from?
It comes from the hexweave.
Right. Okay.
So its utility is in medical application.
Yes, if someone is poisoned, or... Oh, this buzzing is very annoying. I'm just going to get rid of that insect. He says, yes, in medical applications, if someone requires, for example, a cleansing of the blood, a hexweave can do such things. We can transfuse blood from a sick person and give them healthy blood.
Can you make blood pudding from it?
What is blood pudding?
What is... No. Okay. Okay.
We have never. I do not know if I have ever tried eating blood before.
It's actually quite nice, in my opinion. Some people don't have the stomach for it.
It sounds like something humans would eat.
I mean, I would hunt a lot. I just think it's nicer to use every bit of the animal, and I do mean every bit of the animal. And Cyan has like 1,000-yard stare for a moment.
Oh god.
Okay. Simeon's just moving on.
I am with you.
Simeon,
So, go on.
I'm curious, what type of what is popular for barter? Is it the is it just kind of like for like, depending on what a person might specialize in providing, or is it are there certain goods that are seen as more reputable in a bargain?
He says it does depend on the person, but most people in this city will take favors. They will take services. If you can do something that is or in demand, people will gladly trade some of their produce for that. That being said, private property is not really a concept amongst us. If someone desperately needs something, people will quite freely give it. No one goes hungry here.
Oh, I might need to lie down soon. Place is confusing.
At the notion of people not going hungry.
No, it's private property. I'm surprised you are not shook. Ooh,
I like sharing.
Well, you are a
People
fool.
just aren't very happy about sharing, so sometimes I make them share.
Simeon says, this city has survived for 10,000 years. It predates even the war against the Titans. The Kayadar has been here all this time. We are clearly doing something right.
How long do elves commonly like? Do they have a lifespan, or do they just carry on until they're dead?
Elves usually like about 800 or 850, 900. Like that's at the top end of how long they'll live.
And I take it that would imply the Kayadar has lived far longer than any other elf.
Yes, not just far longer than any other elf, like mind-boggling levels of age. Like the age of gods was 10,000 years ago. So, like Fandarin died 9,500 years ago.
Ah. What does she? Can I ask what she looks like?
He takes you up down the main sort of thoroughfare, and he says, "You will find out soon enough. We're almost there." And he takes you to one of the ladders, the sort of lifts that goes up into like an upper level of the city. As he nods to a couple of people who man a sort of pulley system, and he sort of just like guides you onto this sort of like quite rickety-looking thatch lift. He says, "After you, all of you."
Ugo, I need to reach into your pocket, into your satchel.
Sure. What for?
Earlier on, you left some of the goods. I'm thinking maybe she would be persuaded by is he kind of looking through it. The Aryan oranges might do this time. And he kind of grabs one and like throws it up and down and like catches it on himself, and he's like, "I think this is the one. Ugo."
The lift, as you're talking, the lift shudders and you begin the process of being pulled up into the air. This obviously takes a bit of time, so continue on your conversation.
If you think that will work, sure.
Well, it will. I would be very surprised if she turned around and said no to these. I'm telling you, in her whole life, she would have never seen something as juicy that is enjoyable to the taste buds as this. And in return, you have rubs his palms together a little bit. There are lots of things here we could take.
I see gold vein. I do not see any copper.
Oh, it is. We would not want to buy anything here. We would take the goods to Edron and the river. And then we get lots of copper.
I worry as well. They say they take weapon before we enter the city, but they say blood must not be spilled. Does this mean I can keep hammer? Does not spill blood. Does not spill blood. Blood stays inside, but gets mixed around.
I would advise you strongly to take the hammer off. Besides, you have your hands. It is more than enough, and I have my. And he kind of like points to his teeth. Yeah, you remember the time in Nevar?
I try to forget.
The lift gets to the top, and a couple of Rodran guards comes over to you and says, Simeon says, this is our armory. You can leave your weapons here. They will be safe. No one will take them.
Ah, very good, very good. You can have them here. He kind of drops his own. Ugo?
He sort of hesitantly puts his hammers down.
Yeah, I think I have a dagger. I'll leave that.
You're going to keep it on you?
No, I'll leave it there.
Oh, sure.
I hand over my weapons as well. I don't know if they would count like grappling hooks and things as a weapon.
I mean, Simeon looks at you and sort of says, anything can be used as a weapon. It's more of a symbolic gesture.
Right. So do I hand over this thing or?
If you don't, you better not murder someone with it. He smiles, and a couple of the Rogerans who are taking your stuff and sort of putting it into a little side cubby hole sort of laugh as well. Simeon turns to you and says, grappling hooks are quite useful in this city, I suppose.
That is true. Very true.
So everyone is leaving their things, right?
Yeah.
I'll leave the shotgun, but I hide the potions.
Yeah, that's fine.
Do they need armor as well, or just weapons?
Just weapons.
Okay.
Although, like, there's no one else around here is wearing any armor, so you might look quite strange if you walk around in armor all the
I
time.
think we all look strange anyway, considering only 2 of our group are Elven.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the armor's just my clothes, right?
Yeah, fair. Simeon says, right, well, if you're all ready, the Kaidar will see you now. And he takes you down to the end of the corridor and opens up the... oh, hello, Phaedra. He opens up the door, and behind the door you see a quite quaint little throne room, I guess you could describe it. You see a couple of people, you see one person sat on the throne, it's quite hard to tell with ages with elves, but he seems to be sort of coming into middle age. Like if he was a human, he'd be about 30, 32, 33. Sat on the throne with 2 like sort of horned bits of like scavenged horn wrapped around his head in a sort of crown. He has like long grey hair, sort of brownish grey hair that sort of goes quite far down his back, and he's wearing this sort of like quite nice golden cloak as he sits on the chair. To his side is another elf with sort of very grey hair. This guy is probably looking maybe like if he was human about 50, 60. And he wears a red robe and he carries a staff as well. And then in the corner of the room, you see a sort of shadowy figure, staying in the shadows but keeping out of the distance. As they walk in, as you all walk in, Simeon goes to the front and bows. He says, High Lord Nace. And the guy on the throne, the elf man on the throne says, Simeon, you return. And the rest of you. I have heard that you've come up against some trouble on the road. You notice around you, in this throne room itself, there's like it sort of overlooks. It's like built into part of the tree, and it overlooks the area outside the city. So you see like nice fountains and paths. You see a whole bunch of different, like it's quite maybe about 50 or 60 feet down, with these two like large walkways that sort of come off and sort of go to other parts of the branches that sort of shoot out. You also see all these tiny little creatures. They're sort of like sprites made out of vegetation, and they're sitting and chirping on the sort of thatched walls. They have faces which seem to be carved out of various fruits and vegetables. So you see ones that are made out of apples, plums, turnips. You can even see like a blackberry one, which seems to be made of a whole bunch of different blackberries stuck together somehow, with like a face that's sort of carved into it. They're like chirping amongst each other.
Just eyes frozen on them, and it's just not paying attention to conversation. Is Nyx doing anything around them, or?
No, you notice Nyx is just sort of like perched on your shoulder, not particularly like
Interested.
speaking much. As you step forward and bow, Simeon says, "We wish to speak with the Kaidar alone, High Lord." And the man stands up and turns to the person to his left and says, "Very well, I guess our presence is not needed." He nods and sort of smiles, and he walks off. They both walk off. This is what you see. So stepping forward, standing before you, you notice a strange-looking elf woman. She's undoubtedly beautiful. She has this eerie sense of beauty, sort of like from looking at like a Renaissance oil painting, like an aesthetic beauty, which seems impossible in reality. But contrasted with her features is this pale green skin and long blonde hair which glows in the light of the fungus above you. You see that she's got raised scars covering what seems to be every inch of her face, crisscrossing multiple times, seemingly randomly. And you can see the same in her uncovered arms. Her dress is white, made of silk, and has thousands of tiny little geometric patterns which seem to morph and mold the more you look at it. She doesn't stand tall or particularly imposingly, and she has a stern but friendly look to her, but something about her seems to exude power. The shadows in the corners of the room, as she walks towards you all, seem to reach out towards her, and the branches that jut out of the walls of the chamber creak and moan and whine as she walks past. The creatures all around her jitter and sort of scurry about, and all follow her as she walks towards you. As she walks and sits herself on the throne, Simeon nods and bows. "My lady." "Welcome back, Simeon," she says. "So, tell me what happened, all of it." Simeon turns to the rest of you. "It is best if maybe our guests explain. I'm not quite sure what I saw. It was all too fast." He turns to you all. "Very well.
I do not think this one is for me. It is way above my pay grade. Maybe one of you can do it.
Okay, so these men come
Yeah,
from
go,
fog,
Go,
and
go.
oh,
He kind of just looking at the others.
So we were going through the portal to come back, and this man in a yellow cloak comes through the fog. It suddenly got really foggy, and then we had Eyeless with us. Oh, let me switch to my notes. And he dragged Eyeless forward and took his shade steel weapon out of his arm and then attached it to this really long jagged sword. And then killed. No, he killed Diok first, and then he did that.
I see. Teok was... He had his problems, the Kayadar says, looking at all of you. But he was loyal and a good fighter. He will be missed.
The marbles.
Oh yeah, and everyone he killed turned into these black marbles, which I pull out the one that I choked on and and out of my pocket and show it to her.
She reaches out and takes it. A marble made of black. I have not seen one of these in a long time.
What are they?
To be honest, she says to you all, I really do not know. But the last time I saw it was 3,000 years ago.
Did you also cough one up?
No. It was during what I assume you know as the Sidon Unification Wars, where Eretz Sar came to Radrana with an invasion force. Eretz Sar was considered the enemy by our people, and he carried a blade which, whilst it didn't do this, how do I explain it? The shade steel blade he carried was capable of many things that I've never seen since. But it wasn't until he killed the Rodran leader Kairos during that time when I noticed that Kairos himself had turned into these beads. Eretzar and I had a conversation during that period. We agreed to separate Rodrana and the Sidon, the Rodrans and the Sidon, and I would look after Rodrana as under him. That was the last time I saw one of these.
You knew where it's at.
I met him, yes. I knew Fandarin as well.
Were they cool people, or...?
It doesn't matter what they were. Eretzar was not what the stories say he was, but that is what the histories say. What I say will not change that.
Cool.
Simeon turns to you all and says, turns to the Kayadara and says, this group of people came across one of our portals. I thought it was prudent that we bring them here, just to make sure that you know what to do with them. And she says, yes, I know what to do with them. They will be fed and watered and clothed and homed. And when the time is right, they will be sent on their way. And they will never return.
Like, never? Or placeholder never in case, unless something really big happens?
The fact that you are here already is a sign of something big. I have never had a Rodran bring non-elves here. This is the first. So, in 10,000 years.
Well, this is very kind, but we will not overstay our welcome. We will be out of your way, and this is all just one big misunderstanding, shall we say. We did not want to be here. We were chased in here from the The assassin in yellow.
The assassin in yellow, she says.
That is the name you all used for him. I have not heard of such fairy tales before. You see, where I am from, things are much more black and white most of the time.
Simeon says, yes, he had blue skin and was wrapped in a golden cloak. And the Kayadar says, blue skin. I suppose I need to consult my cards. Make yourselves comfortable, all of you. Simeon will show you to some quarters where you will be able to rest. And we will meet another time, yes? And we'll have more answers for you then.
Okay.
Have a think about if there is anything that you need from me, or any questions that you have. And I may have something to ask of you, but we will not speak of that now.
Just cocks an eyebrow.
Simeon says, yes, my lady. He nods and sort of begins to escort you all out. You notice that, Hanera, you notice that as you're walking out, your brother is like shaking slightly. He's clearly quite nervous.
She was lovely.
Oh, Simeon sort of sighs. What a day. I've only met her 3 times.
Why does she have so many scars?
She is the last of the immortal elves, Simeon says. She has fought in many battles and has taken many injuries. Although one is not necessarily... although one is immortal, one's body can still be disfigured.
Well, if she's the last one, where did all the others go? If they're immortal.
Good. That is a good question. That is a story. That is the story of the betrayal. I'm surprised you haven't heard of it, Cyan.
I said before, I had a pretty sheltered upbringing.
Well, how do I explain this? The Age of Gods was an age before humans and elves, and before all of these races. There was only one race on Erd during that time, and they were the chosen of Fandaren. We call those the Immortal Elves. They were Fandaren's first attempt to populate Erd. Humans may know them as the demigods. People like Zornakar and Mantanish came under this category.
Would we know who they are?
You're from Orthaid. You've heard the stories of Zornakar and Mantanish. Like, that's a big part of like the history. The Kayadar is one of those two.
Curious.
He also said, during Sidon's invasion, during Eretzar's invasion of Orthaid, he had made alliances with a number of the remaining immortal elves. People like Zornakar, Mantanish, the Iron Pariah. They were all bound in service to him. Or really to Zornakar, who controlled him. The Kayadar stayed behind. And so, when Eretzar was defeated, there was none left.
Hey, that.
And ever since, she has remained in the city.
Does she regret the decision not to go with them?
I do not think she'll ever admit one way or the other.
Yeah, she doesn't seem that way. Respectful, of course. If I lived as long as her, I also would want to be mysterious now and then. I imagine it'd be quite fun.
She is the last of her kind. It is a lonely existence. And everyone she has ever known and gotten close to has died. If you lived through that, I'm sure that you would be hesitant about explaining too much. It would feel like you were telling the same story constantly.
It's like having pet. You get pet mouse, you grow to like it, then it dies.
Yes. But to the Kaidar, the average lifespan is of elves is about that of a mouse. But humans is about that of an ant. They are fleeting moments for her.
So, in the blink of an eye, she'll probably forget some of us?
She has almost certainly forgotten a lot. Her memory is not infallible. And the tree of Sethel takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot out of her to keep it strong and bright. This is the last city from the age of gods.
Where does the power come from? For the tree?
It comes from her, of course.
So everything, not just, I suppose, the tree itself, but all the lands around are, in a sense, dependent on her presence, yeah.
This is what life was like during the Age of Gods. Let's say it like that. This is the last remnant of a better time.
Silly question, where are we? Does the sun look normal? Does the sky look a bit strange? Does it look like we're still on...
You're high up in the mountains somewhere.
Okay.
Somewhere in Rogerana.
Right.
Why is this activate? Yeah, there we go. So
just another question. Was there any? I don't think there was, but there was no conversation between Eyeless and the Sidan about what to do with them.
Oh, there was no conversation that you were around with, but
Okay.
they've just like put them in cages basically, and they're just like wondering what to do about them
Okay.
as you walk back down to the main street.
Simeon, it would be very good of us to hear what happens to Eyeless.
The Kaida will make her decision.
Oh no, I'm sure she will, but it would be good to be made aware of that decision, if that is okay with you.
Yes, that's fine. I will let you know as soon as a decision has been made.
That is very kind.
Come with me. Let me show you to your quarters. He takes you down to the main part of the city. There is a sort of large elven building towards the center, which has a sort of like curved roof, which is thatched with moss. It's all made of wood and has like indented sort of elven writing that glows sort of on the beams and stuff. This is a boarding house. You will have a room each. You are welcome to stay here as long as you like. Until the Kaidar makes her decision on really what she wants to do with you all.
What,
Thank you.
what do you think she will do with us?
To be honest, I don't know. Says to you. It is the first time this has ever happened, and she is untested in this regard.
Can she read minds? Of course, I have nothing but pure thoughts, but just in case.
I'm sure.
The Kaidar is not exactly 100% open about her abilities. I have never seen her use any magic. She's only ever divined through her carts that she uses.
Oh, so divination.
It's more like guidance. It's some form of guidance.
Okay. Well, okay. You he turns around and he like dabs his forehead a little bit with a kind of a rather nice looking handkerchief.
He takes you into the boarding house and nods to one of the guards who's placed out there. Do not mind the guard. Naturally, we are suspicious people.
I could well imagine.
We have no intentions of harming any of you, but please respect our customs whilst you are here.
How do we get food?
There are, to be fair, and you are guests here. Many of the elves around will gladly invite you into their homes to eat with them. Alternatively, you can explore. There are stalls which you can barter and trade with.
Also, you say hexweave. It can make milk, water, bread, not bread. Milk, water, flour, blood. It make flour, but you're not allowed to cook. How you use flour without cook?
We are not allowed to cook with fire. We tend to eat raw, but we understand that some people, especially Sidon deserters who have joined our cause, may feel a bit more comfortable eating something that is cooked. So we have a number of alchemical ovens that line the city. They are fireless, and they give off a safe form of heat that rises bread. You can ask any of the guards around for the directions for them, and they are free to use for anyone.
Add a character. Does this mean like microwaves or something?
Yeah, it's basically like a magic microwave. Yeah.
Microwave
Awesome.
bread.
That's pretty hideous.
Anyway, I must go and rest. I think Eyeless is going to need some medical help. So I will check on that, then I will come find you, and maybe we'll go for a walk tonight. I'll show you around.
That sounds like a good
Yes,
idea.
that sounds great.
We should get rested and familiar with our space.
Yes. This whole building is for you to peruse and use, including the living areas. You will just have to make do with the guard here. But you will find that there are 6 rooms upstairs, one for each of you. They are large enough for all of you. So enjoy.
Just out of curiosity, are there more than those 6 rooms? Or do they just only have the 6 rooms in case a group of 6 people came around?
We use this for deserters normally. Those who join our cause, we will put them in here until they have longer... until they have more long-term arrangements set up. But this has been repurposed for you. There are a couple of other rooms, but they have been used for storage. It's probably best to just leave them closed.
Okay.
But again, do not go into the roots and the caves below the trees. We do not want to have to fish you out of there.
Do you often get people try to go into roots?
No, but that's because we warn them.
It
I
feels
think those people tend to have more common sense than we do.
it's just oftentimes, you get multiple warning about thing. It is because it is very tempting.
That is true. I remember when I was growing up, there was the smith, and he'd always tell me, "Don't touch the hammer; it'll hurt you." And that just made me want to touch the hammer more.
I find
I'll leave you
oftentimes-
to it. Simeon nods at you all. He nods at you, Hanira. I will see you soon. He leaves and closes the door behind him.
Right. I
So-
take it we're going to unpack.
I prefer...
Yeah, what would you like to do, everyone?
Food?
Okay, so I'm gonna go and get some food.
Okay, I'm going to hang back here. Cascus is like looking out the window and trying to stick to the shadows of the room as best as possible.
Would you like to bring you back some bread? Maybe some blood bread. Maybe we try and
That's a great preservative.
make bread, but with blood instead of water.
Just Ugo, bread, please. It will do.
Blood bread.
Actually, this is good. I've been meaning to talk to you about something, so I can stick around with you. I'm not very hungry.
What are you doing, Yarrow? You sort of just arrived in this elven city. You're completely on your own with strangers that you've just met.
I think she's just currently very confused because she doesn't really understand what anyone's been talking about.
Sure.
So she's just been kind of like a little bit dumbfounded and like not really sure what she's doing. So she's gonna go, "Yeah, I'm hungry. I'll eat. At least that'll make sense, I hope." I don't know what elves eat.
Apparently milk and flour. I don't know.
That's about as much as I know as well.
I have not made bread before, but I can give it a try. How difficult can it be?
All right. So Yarrow and
Literally
Ugo, are
just
you?
nice.
So Yarrow and Ugo, are you going to find some food then?
Sure.
I'm gonna go as well.
Oh, you're gonna go as well. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, it's probably good to have someone that can translate. Right. Okay.
Gestures.
And Henning, what are you doing?
Oh, sorry, I was muted.
That's right.
No, I'll probably join them for food.
Cool. All right. So the four of you. So Cascus and Cyan remain behind. The four of you leave. One of the guards outside turns to you all and begins to follow you, just like a few meters back, just like obviously like not trying to hide that he's following you, but again, he's not like trying to be like scary. You notice that he's got the same sort of dark clothes of the Rodran hunters as before. You actually recognize him from the battle, but he's one of the reinforcements that came in. He's got a sort of quite spindly longsword, elven longsword on his hip, and he's got like a bow just strung around his shoulder with a few arrows. As he follows you behind, obviously, like you notice that this hunter has a weapon in the city, but you guys don't. But again, as you make your way down the main thoroughfare, there is a whole bunch of sort of stalls that are around. People are just sort of bartering and trading in apples, pears, plums. You see a couple of like spiky sort of fruits that you've never seen before. They're like big and yellow, and they've got this big tuft of green stuff on the top. And they seem to like the elves that are sort of cutting into them. Are pulling out this sort of ringed fruit from the center of it, and one of them sort of just like holds it out to one of you to try.
I try it.
Ooh, I'll try it.
Try a bit.
It's sweet. Out of character, it's a pineapple. But in character, you've never seen one of these before. Like it's something that is quite extraordinary, really. But she sort of gives you all like bits of fruit. Like as you're going around, people are just giving you things. As you're so like Ugo, it's probably the most fruit you've ever seen in your life.
He eats it like skin and all.
Yeah, there's like someone hands you a banana, and it looks like it would be quite meaty from the outside, and then you sort of like bite into it, and it's just what's going on? It's all stringy.
It's nice chew to it.
Ugo, you're meant to peel the skin off.
Why
That.
Why would I peel off skin? Is part of fruit, no?
No. Yes, but
He
you're
just
not meant
continues
to.
eating.
Oh. I tell
Very
you what.
very tip, maybe a little bit chewy. Kind of takes out the very tip of the stalk. And the rest is
look,
good.
you know what? There's no harm in you eating it, so just eat it, I guess.
As you continue walking down the marketplace, to your left, you notice that there is a what seems to be an amphitheater. made up of the same wooden branches and twigs, which are constructed into raised platforms in a semicircle around this center stage. You notice that there's a fair amount of Rodrons sat sat watching in the audience, watching two people on stage, two elves who seem to be moving very slowly and purposefully. It's like almost quite painful to watch. Standing and staring at them, so as you're walking past for a couple of minutes, they say about maybe 3 or 4 words and make extremely rigid and purposeful moves as they're walking around on stage. It's unlike any theatre you've ever seen before.
Is this what they find entertaining here?
Has it started yet?
I don't know.
The elf hunter who's following you around speaks up and says, "It has been going on for 2 days."
2 days? They've been doing this for 2 days.
No way, you've been serious.
You would think after 2 days they would get used to it, maybe be able to do it a bit quicker.
Elven theatre takes many days to complete. They are about halfway through currently, the elf hunter says. They are telling the story of Verabek and Taranen.
Telling it very slowly.
I guess you guys live a long time?
That we do. They are 2 rivals. He points to the 2 actors who are sort of like slowly moving. It's almost like doing a slow robot dance, and occasionally they'll say a word. He says they are playing 2 rivals and brothers who are locked in a duel to recite the 11,000 stanzas of the Sayonara for the love of their mother. It is a tragedy.
Oh, God. Ugh.
I don't know if I can sit through this. I've got to be honest. I don't think I understand the culture enough.
11,000 words.
11,000 stanzas.
Oh.
A stanza is, an elven stanza is 111 words.
Oh, God.
Bloody heck.
Oh, God, it's worse than I thought.
That is incalculable number.
A big word.
The story is one that all Rodrons know. It is that they begin their duel of minds to decide who will become the next High Lord and inherit the throne, because their mother, who is ultimately the arbiter of deciding that, is on her deathbed. The tragedy is that in 2 days, or in the 4 days it takes them to recite the stanzas by memory, taking turns one after another to recite alternating stanzas, they get to the end without a single mistake having been made, and without a clear winner being announced. And then when they return to their mother, they find her passed on, and the 2 realize that their hunger for inheritance took their last moments they had with their beloved mother. It is a beautiful story.
Maybe their last moments with mother are wasted away while they are doing long theatre.
Not
Good
the most
point, Julia.
cheerful of stories, is it?
It is the history of our people, and it is important that it is kept. And it is important that it is done properly as well, he says.
So, like,
This
is
is the way that people
tradition... So it's like tradition that you keep on doing, even though most people, they do not maybe enjoy, but feel is important to keep doing anyway.
Yes. The actors who work here in the amphitheatres are some of the most highly regarded and skillful actors in the whole world. Their dedication to their craft goes on for centuries.
As does this play. Where is blood? I would like blood. Oh, that is tongue twister. We should call it something else. Maybe bread. No, that is also. I will think of something. Bloodloaf. That works.
You will have to speak to the Kayadar about that. Only she has the control over the hexweave, and blood is not something that we keep in large supplies around here, I'm afraid.
Oh.
Just have normal bread, Ugo.
But
Hugo, it'll be fine.
But I have my heart set on Bloodloaf.
Hugo, your accent nearly changed.
I
Remember?
wish to. I wanted to make Bloodloaf and bring Bloodloaf back to Keskis.
Well, Cascus will have to deal with not having the Bloodloaf.
Oh. Okay, I will just try. What about milk?
We have milk.
Okay.
We have barrels.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. How many barrels? How many barrels?
I'm not sure. He says.
If
I
one is
think
to- if one
about
is,
400.
should do for a few weeks. If you,
He's like immediately like, huh?
if all you eat is milk, you must have a lot of milk.
It is not the only thing we eat. We have groves and orchards here. We supplant our diet with fresh fruits as well.
Is only thing I have seen that has what do they call meat bits in.
There is no meat bits in any of our fruit, I'm afraid.
No. Meat bits, not actual meat. Meat bits, thing that you eat and can make meat on you.
He seems a bit confused at that, and he turns to you, Hanero, and is like, I don't know what he's saying.
Protein.
Protein. We have nuts, he says.
Oh.
Legumes.
Oh.
Yes, we have plenty of those. Let me take you to our nut orchard.
Thank you.
Oh, that will be.
That's where nuts grow on trees, don't they?
Never heard of a nut orchard before, though.
Literally the first. I had to Google it as I said it. There you go. It is an orchard of nut trees. He says he takes you down sort of like a side street, and it's still under the canopy of the larger tree itself. You see a small little grove that has been well tended to, of maybe about 300, 400 trees. I say small. It's small compared to the tree that's right above you, but it's fairly large. And you see a number of like Rodrons just picking fruit and putting them into like thatched baskets. The hunter, as he's walking, he says, "My name is Lutheus, by the way. I am to be alongside you for your stay here."
Yeah. Lutheus, what is your favorite nut?
Almonds or chestnuts. Roasted chestnuts in the alchemical ovens are delicious.
I will take your recommendation. Let's us get mini chestnut.
He takes a little basket that's just sort of like stashed to the side next to one of the trunks of one of the trees, and begins to like hand out baskets for you all. Would everyone like to make me a nature check to see what they get? Who's here, by the way?
11.
And you, Yarrow, as well.
Yeah, one sec. Sorry, I'm just being a bit slow. I've forgotten how to do it.
That's all right. Ugo, are you just like taking whatever looks edible?
Whatever I think a chestnut is.
Make me an intelligence check then, I guess, as well. Oh, look at this. Like 11, 18, 19, 22. Yeah.
12.
All right. You have a kind of idea what a chestnut is. And you pick a fair amount. You fill your basket up with maybe a third of them. And then you also notice that there's a couple of like pear trees. There's also another one where that has this fruit. that hangs. It's like a green fruit that's sort of spiky. And Letheus turns to you, Ugo, and says, "This is maybe something that you could try. It tastes almost like meat."
Ugo will kind of grab one and just bite into it.
Oh, it's spiky, so it does hurt biting into it.
Oh,
And you see the elf sort of cringes as he does that.
very,
As he sees you do that.
lots of plant in this.
Yes, you're supposed to remove the prickles first. It is in your tongue called a jackfruit. It is better if you cook it as well. It tastes more like meat then, maybe grilled.
When I grow up, they say eat all of food. Not throw away bits of food just because it's spiky or ugly or shriveled.
Or inedible.
Everything is edible.
The rinds of jackfruits and other fruits in this grove are put back into the soil. It continues the process of rejuvenation.
That's what we do too in our land.
So we are not so different after all. Yarrow, you having a look around. You notice that there's obviously you know your nature. There's almonds, chestnuts. You've got like hazelnuts. You've got fruit trees. Name it. There's apples, there's pears, oranges, blackberries, pine nuts, pistachios, etc., etc. You fill your basket up with just whatever you feel like having. They're all free, and as you're picking them, and as you're all going around this orchard, you notice that as you pick them, very tiny little points on these trees start to appear, and then they start to grow slightly again, and you notice that they're actually growing in real time, like really, like quite quickly.
You guys gonna like?
Oh, how is this possible?
Just like pick one off, see it growing, and just like pick off a tiny one.
The tiny one is like it's like a dot basically. You just instantly crush it amongst your fingers, but then it starts popping up on a different leaf somewhere else. The Kayadar's light guides this tree, and the roots that line this valley supply all the nutrition and needs to anything that grows here. Lutheus says.
Do you have animals around here?
You don't happen to need some halflings in your territory, do you? This is incredible.
He smiles. I do wish for a time when our people will have more of an open relationship with others. During the war, it is difficult to see that happening, though.
Don't worry. My kind's much the same, to be honest. We also keep to ourselves on the whole, but partly because we're so small.
It is a good defense mechanism, I suppose. Easy to hide away from threats.
Yeah, the only problem is when a threat does catch you, it can pretty much crush you. It is a bit of a problem, to be honest.
Aye. Yeah, I bet. We have our fair share of creatures and monsters in the woods too. Since the war, the Kayadar's light does not shine on all parts of the forest equally. There are parts that are now in control of both the Saidan and in control of darker forces at work that threaten to destabilize the nature of the forest itself. This is the last part of the woods which used to all be like this. All the trees, all the fruits of Rodrana used to grow as quickly and as powerfully as this. And unfortunately, it has dwindled. But alas, he says, you seem sort almost kind of get a bit like thoughtful and solemn saying that. He turns around and says, I think you have had your fill. Henning and Henera, again, you can pick pretty much your choice of whatever. There's fruits in here that you've never seen before. There's fruits that you have seen before, but are very expensive back from where you come from. Again, nuts, legumes, chestnuts, fruits, vegetables. Letheus tells you, Henning, if you crush these nuts up and put them in some of that bread you're planning on making, that will make a nice treat, I suppose.
Duly noted.
There's also grapevines, if anyone wants to take any grapes. Luthea says, as you notice, the vines sort of snaking out of the grass with these plump, fat, black grapes on them. He says, we do not just drink water as well. Our wine is something to be tasted, if you can find some.
Ooh, wine. We'll definitely be having a bit of that.
Do you?
The Kaidar's own recipe.
Is there any hop?
What, like Coca-Cola?
Hop.
Oh, hop. I thought you said pop.
Are you looking for a bunny rabbit?
Do you make ale?
We do not make ale, but we do have things that can. I mean, we do have hop plants here. We occasionally ferment things with them, but we do not make ale. Not really.
Some wine.
Any IPA?
What's IPA?
Are you using IPA?
I see written on sign once IPA.
No, that's Indian Pale Ale, Richard.
All right.
There's Orthe Pale Ale and Ishmaeli Pale Ale.
EPA.
Yeah, exactly, EPA. And OPA. We do not. We have never been one for making ale, I'm afraid. Our wine is a long process of creation that takes many years or decades. We have the time for that. Ale tends to be brewed on a faster timescale. This is for humans, you see, and dwarves who have shorter lives. Let me take you at another point to one of our breweries. I will show you our wine being produced. You'll see our top bottles, our most valuable ones, take in the realm of 75, 85 years to make. We have every year a few of them become of the right age, and we have a great party to celebrate.
I suppose I can try wine, maybe. Maybe wine here is different to elsewhere.
Yeah. So with your baskets in hand, filled with these plump, luscious, fast-growing fruits, Lutheus takes you to one of these strange little contraptions, which it seems to be almost like a wooden box that he just says, and it has almost like a little gemstone dial on it. It opens up at the top like a chest, and you can just put things in there and close it. Turn the dial, and it sort of magically hums.
Dial just turning as it hums.
Yeah, and nearby there's a whole bunch of crates and barrels with milk, water, flour that has come from the Hexweaves. The flour itself is very powdery. It's not like the flour that you'd bread. It's not like thick bread flour. It almost runs off your fingers as you try and pick it up. You get a cup and fill the cup up, and then put some milk and water in there, and then it all binds together into a big gluey mess, which Luthea shows you. And then what kind of bread would you like to make with your things? Are you going to put some fruits in there, or are you going to do nuts? Or...
Fruity, nutty, flatbread.
Flatbread.
I feel because I feel there's no yeast, right?
Lutheus explains that this bread has qualities. If you make it fluffy, it will rise. If you make it flat, it will stay flat.
Ooh, I'll have regular bread then. Just pile on the nuts.
Question: do you ever make cheese from hex milk?
Cheese. Now that is something that which we have never had, or never made. We do not have a history of having cheesemakers in our society. But if you knew a way that we could do so,
Would you like to try some cheese? And he reaches into his back pocket.
make me a diplomacy check.
Oh god, that 20.
His elven vision spots that it's not particularly delicious. He takes it from your hand and gives it a smell. Are you sure it's supposed to smell like that?
Not sure. Can I take it back? Did not smell like that a few days ago when I made it, but he's just mature. They call it mature cheese. This is how they make it. Yes.
I'm afraid that that my taste buds are not designed for such. How do we say it? Insensitive foodstuffs.
Yes, bread is maybe a little bit green, but we'll let it mature a bit more. Maybe it will come out other end much better. Puts it back in his back pocket.
All right, yeah. So as you're sort of like all crowding around and making these breads, where Luthea shows you how to fluff them up to the extent where it will start to grow and sort of like yeast step on its own. And making sort of like little, like you can squish them really tight. He shows as well, make little rock cakes and like scones and stuff with them. He says, it is not until now that I did not notice how alike our people are to humans and to all of you. It has been a long time since I have even ever seen a human. Never mind interacted with them and invited them to my home.
What did you think of? What did you think humans were like?
Do you want the honest truth?
Ooh, go on, tell us.
Yes.
Stinky, sweaty, smelly barbarians who fight and murder each other constantly and cannot create a lasting civilization for the life of them.
Well,
You're not
maybe.
totally wrong.
I can't really argue. You're not entirely untrue, but the barbarian comment was unnecessary.
He's okay. I am used to it.
The greatest empire which humanity has ever created, the Lavari Empire, I read about them when I was younger, only lasted for 300 years. Do you understand what that is like to an elf? It is a third of our lifespan. This city has lasted for 10,000 years.
Well, I mean, where I am from, the society has existed since before records began, longer than history knows. Granted, we do not really record history, but it has always existed, as far as we know.
Well, that sounds impressive. Alas, he says he sort of looks at a little like magical like sundial in his pocket that sort of it like moves of its own accord to tell him the time. He says, "We should probably start getting you back. The food should be ready in the box now." And he opens it up, and the smell of cooked bread hits your nostrils. As like fresh fruits and nuts, and like it's a shame that there weren't any spices in the area to put in them. Now you're realizing, but but you're sure that in future attempts there will be. But it looks fluffy. It looks delicious. It's got a sort of bronzed or browny crust over the top. The loaf itself is sort of like it doesn't look like Western style bread. It almost looks like bao, like Korean steamed buns, but just like that has been crusted on the top. But it's fluffy. It's light. You take a bit, Hanera. Eat it. It tastes good. Tastes nice. Yeah, for sure. The you're used to this though. To be fair, like you've had hexweave stuff before. As for the rest of you, it's a bit plain, but Ugo, you're surprised. A single bite of it, you're starting to feel full.
Oh, he's strange. He's like it grows in belly.
Yes, it is perfect for long trips. The amount that you've made today, I did think that you seemed quite hungry, should last all of you at least a few days.
It kind of takes like a swig of milk as well. Just like starts downing it like he would normal stuff.
Yeah, the milk it doesn't taste like cow milk. It has a funny
is it like
off.
milk? Is it like milk flavored water?
Does it taste like human milk?
No, it's thick. I didn't say it didn't taste like elf milk.
You walk in on the Kaidar and she's got a big breast pump on.
So it tastes. It doesn't taste watery. It has the same consistency of milk. It has a bit of a like when you drink soy milk for the first time and you're like, what is that aftertaste? Like, I don't really like that very much. It's kind of like that. The milk itself, it's plainer. It's creamy, but it's that aftertaste that you don't really quite like very much. It will require some getting used to.
Just thinking to us when he drinks it. If I just keep drinking, there is no aftertaste.
Yeah. You're just feeling more and more full up as you're drinking it, and like Letheus is like, put the barrel down, Hugo.
Kind of puts out oh, that will take some getting used to.
Right. Let's have a break, shall we? And then we'll come back to Cyan and Cascus then after the break.
Cool.
So come back Q2 then.
Cool.
Yep.
Right. See you in a little bit, Russian spammers.
All right. See you in a bit. All right, brilliant. Hi, welcome back. So just before the break, the party had arrived at the elven city of Safel, a mostly wooden, sort of raw vegan community who lives under a tree. They were shown around the magical groves and orchards and food that just exists in plentiful supply here, learning a little bit about the Kayadar and her history, learning about how exactly they live, how they've lived like this for so long, using the Kayadar's light to power everything. The party made some, well, 4 of the party made some delicious bread. And what's his face? Lutheus, the hunter, he was showing the party around and all that fun stuff. So, as the 4 of you start to head back, Lutheus turns to you and says, so is there anything that you would like to see in the city, finally? Any of you? Hello?
Yeah, is there like a marketplace? I know you don't really use money, but
we have stalls around. Obviously, we had passed through the fruit markets on the way here. That's usually just an opportunity for people to offload all the extra food they have. We do have people who are more well known in the realms of items and equipment. But I would recommend that you ask the Kayadar for her guidance. She often gives out equipment to those in need. She has a large collection.
oh, I don't want to bother her.
You will have to speak to her at some point anyway. So.
Okay, I'll wait till then.
Why don't we speak to her? Maybe we ask for some blood so we can make Bloodloaf.
You can see on Lutheus's face as he's walking you all back of like, she's 10,000 years old and you're asking her for blood pudding. Alas, so Lutheus starts to walk you all back. Back in the house, the sort of boarding house, Cascus and Cyan, you are minding your own business, getting yourselves acclimatized to the surroundings. You've set up your rooms and you've gone in there. And Cyan, as you head downstairs into the main sort of living area, you find Cascus standing around.
Hey there, buddy. How are you doing?
I'm okay. A little unnerved.
Cyan has a very forced smile.
You know, you can just be honest with me. You don't have to smile. I know what you
I
feel.
understand this is how people tend to have these kind of conversations.
I see.
I'm
Well,
fine.
you demonstrated wisdom among the rest. See, I don't like to mix business with pleasure, so I will stay here.
Okay. I do think we need to have a
Out.
Well, surely you've noticed we don't get on as well as with the others.
I see that as a good sign. It is good to have a dialogue among people.
I don't like having enemies. I don't like having people I don't like. It makes me feel uncomfortable. And I also think, practically, if we're working together, we need to be a bit more cohesive in our aims and goals and how we talk to people.
I do not like your tone. It is implied, and it is unwelcome.
Would you like me to be slow and calm, or do you want me to be quick and to the point?
I would like you to use the words you mean to use, not the words you hope to use to make me not be displeased by them.
Respectfully, Cascus, I think you're a fucking coward.
What is that noise? What was that noise?
Oh, it's
Sorry.
It's fine. I was just like, is there a blacksmith in the background?
no, it's just Sirenscape, and just ignore me.
Oh,
Carry
right.
on.
Okay. Um, you know, there are many places where cowardice is seen as a sign of heroism, of goodness. It is about survival. It is about getting to the next day. You do not have to die on some pointless hill just because you feel you must.
I understand why you have that idea. I don't like cowards. I don't like selfish people. And I think you're a very selfish person.
Do not pretend to know anything about me, Cyan.
I know a lot about you.
Do
I
you
know,
now?
for instance, that you and Ugo have mentioned on numerous occasions debt collecting. I know for a fact that you carry yourself as an honorable businessman, and yet you're surrounded by shame. And respectfully, I don't think a honest, good businessman has much place in an adventurers guild. I don't think that you're as successful or as honest a businessman as you like to present yourself as.
Ouch. You hurt me.
I think you're running from something.
Aren't we all, Cyan?
That is true for some of us more than others.
Perhaps. It is not my business to care. It is not your business to care about me. We are in an agreement under Don Iden to do a few jobs together, and that is that. I do not see why we have to necessarily be any more than that. You have your secrets, I have mine. That is okay with me.
I don't want to look into your secrets. I want to make compromise. So that we don't sabotage each other.
Okay, Nate. He kind of pulls forward a bit onto the table. Let us work through this logically, where we are right now and what we will have to do. Right now, 4 of our number are going around. 3 of our number, rather. Sorry, I keep forgetting that.
No, it's 4.
Yara, but Yara is not actually a member of the Adventurers Guild.
Oh yeah, Yara's not a member of the Avengers.
At some point, we are going to have to go back to Dan Naiden, yes? And at that
Yes.
point, we are going to have to tell him if there has been any evidence of Rodoranian crossings over the border. To that, we have to answer yes. And he will say, well, where are these crossings coming from? And we will go, well, there is a portal. And through that portal is an elven city with thousands of Rodorans, with goods and, as far as I can see, bountiful wealth, more than anything that the poor Dedrons would ever want. And then what happens? You
I'm not
s-
betraying these people.
But we have a job. We signed a oath to Don Iden, and the punish for that is death.
I am not betraying these people.
So you betray the humans?
I'm going to be honest with you. A place like this is a lot like where I grew up. We kept to ourselves for very good reasons. And one day, more powerful people found us, killed many of us, and enslaved the others. I know exactly what will happen here. And I'm not letting that happen again.
Well, I do not know if I can trust you. You see, you changing your allegiances. I thought we were part of the Adventurers Guild, Or are we part of something else?
I think, at the end of the day, we need to decide whether or not we're still cowards. Whether or not we're going to carry on running, or we stop. take a breath, and think for the briefest of moments, Cascus, that other people have value.
Why would I care about that? Nobody else is caring about your value. The world has never cared about me, so why should I care about it? The Roturans are on the wrong side of history, Cyan, you see. The Acadians, I think that's the wrong pluralization.
Sidon.
The Sidon, they are the future of this continent. They have all the money, the wealth, the goods. It is folly to choose the wrong side here. You're just going to end up dead. Although there is...
Rather die a hero than live a coward.
Yeah. It is not about cowardice. It is about survival, Cyan.
I was wrong to think that we could talk this through. At the end of the day, I think we're going to be at opposite ends of the table.
Perhaps, but insofar as we both have these crests on us, we are going to be working together like it or not. I will be looking for myself. You will be looking for yourself and some frivolous idea of everyone else. Okay with that.
You hear the door open as the cheerful and fed adventurers of the rest of the group arrive. Led by the guard, Lutheus. The rest of the party pile in. And you guys all immediately notice that both Cascus and Cyan have quite sour looks on their face.
You two been bickering?
We have been just having passionate discussions.
Right. Well, we're nice and fed now, so...
Would you like, Keskis, would you like some nut bun?
Oh, my dear Ugo, I've never heard such a fantastic thing before. I would be honored to try.
Here you go, and it's very crudely made. Like he basically just like got the dough, mixed in all the nuts, and just shoved it in the oven.
This is delectable, Ugo. You have you've outdone yourself as always.
I'm glad that you like it.
I tell you what, no coward would eat this bread. As he kind of carries on eating it.
Okay. After a few minutes, there's a knock on the door.
Yeah.
Hello. The voice behind is Simeon's. Door. The door opens and you see Simeon standing, wearing a rather lovely, quite well-fitted elven sort of tunic. It's kind of close to a choga, really, made of like sort of quite flowing fabric, maybe silk, maybe some sort of like weaved, maybe some sort of weaved like thatched material that's come from a plant. Simeon says, "How are you all doing? Are you settling in well?"
As well as we could.
Great. Hanira, can I borrow you for a second?
Of course.
She takes you, and he says to the rest of you, he nods and says, "Have a good night. I will come find you in the morning."
We'll try.
So, Hanira, he takes you into the main street and says, "Follow me. Come with me."
I go with him.
So he takes you up to one of the sort of like external ladders that goes up into the upper part of the tree, and you and him climb up and up and up. Eventually, he takes you into like a tunnel that has like a series of spiral staircases which go quite high. It's quite an exhausting process. Like he's obviously a lot fitter than you, just like by having gone up this constantly for the last few years. And like he occasionally will stop and turn around as you're sort of climbing up. He says, "Don't worry, it'll be worth it."
Keep on climbing.
Okay, so eventually you keep on climbing and climbing and climbing, and then you come across a door made up of this sort of like thatched material, and he sort of takes the handle and he turns to you and says, "Have you ever seen above the clouds, Nera?"
No.
He opens the door, and you are just struck with this immediate sight of miles and miles of fluffy white clouds like below you. The door sort of opens up. It's like a sort of window almost that just like sees right above the mountains. It sees above the clouds, and you see, and looking up, you see the sort of you're right near the top of the tree as it pokes out over the clouds. It's like a serene, peaceful view, and you see maybe like far in the distance, below the clouds, like birds circling below. It's so strange to see them circling from below. He sort of like begins to climb on the outside of it, and then like jumps over to a branch and says, he holds his hand out and says, "Come on, Hinera, I've got you."
God. Okay, I go with him.
All right, make a dexterity check. Make an athletics or acrobatics is your choice. And he is going to aid you. Yeah, that's fine. So you jump across, he grabs your arm, and you sort of land on the branch together, and he takes you around the side of the outer part of the branch, out of the bark. You notice that the bark up here is ancient, almost like quite dark. It's like a dark oak almost. And he sits you down and says, "Now this is the view."
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Do you remember that large oak tree at the end of the garden, Hinera?
Yes.
God, it was old. he sort of smiles. I used to think that was the oldest tree in the world.
Yeah.
And here we are now. Did Father ever tell you why we weren't allowed to climb on it?
No.
It was me and Alora playing in the garden. You were just a babe in arms then, no older than 2 or 3. A lazy midsummer day, no clouds for miles, and the breeze was pleasant enough to keep the warmth of the sun off our backs, so we could run and play and do everything we as young children wanted to do. I'm just going to change the music because it's getting quite intense. He says, we played a game where we would take turns hiding from each other. And Mother would always call out, stay where I can see you. But we knew that she didn't really mind. We saw her smile and wave each time when she did see us again. So it was okay. And when it was my turn to hide, I surveyed the surroundings. Would I try the old mole dog patch? Or perhaps I could hide behind the rocks by the pool. Or, as I remember thinking, as I turned and saw that magnificent oak tree standing alone at the end of the garden, in its luscious green leaves, so tightly packed, I'd be able to conceal myself if I could just reach the top. So, as Alora counted down, I climbed up. I strained and pulled myself, branch by branch, and managed to grip on tightly to a rather bendy one, right on the top. It swayed in the wind as the leaves around me rustled, but I knew that she would never find me up there. It was peaceful. I could see for miles around, from the Crystal Bay to the Aurelia Woods, and I could see her searching for me below. She didn't have a clue. But 20 minutes I waited up there, holding my breath. I knew that I had won when her voice vanished into the garden's depths as she searched elsewhere. And then I realized how I was stuck up there. Going up was one thing, but going down, that's another. And as I called out to my sister, the winds around me started picking up. There was these deep storm clouds that seemed to appear in the sky from nowhere, and the tree began to shake and rumble. It was as if the storm above us was circling above the tree, determined to make me fall. But I held on, Hinera. I would never let go. And as the servants and the rest of our family shuttered themselves in for the storm's passing, It wasn't until midnight that Alora finally let it slip that I hadn't returned. Mother had been in such a rush getting you and the others to bed that she assumed that Alora had brought me inside. But that next morning, as the rose and burdock bushes had been torn from their roots and lesser trees had been thrown around like disused toys around the garden, there I was, clinging to the top of that old oak tree. It was carnage, but that tree had kept me safe amongst it. I remember it calling to me somehow, telling me things would be okay, giving me the strength to hold on. I now know that it was the voice of the Kayadar guiding me all those years ago, Hanira. Ever since, Father wouldn't let any of us go near it. Despite the miracle of how I survived, he hated the blood we inherited from our mother. I wonder what he would think now. See us both here, up on this tree. He laughs. From one tree to another, Hanira. Look how far we've climbed.
Yes. Do you miss home?
I do. I miss it more than anything. I wish I could go back.
Well, maybe one day you could.
There's many here who've felt that way. Many of the men that I led to their deaths yesterday, they would always talk about home and dream that they would one day go home. Most of them had come from the Gurenia. They were forced into the war. They had no choice. If you want to join us, Hanira, I can tell the Kayadar if you want to stay.
I can't stay. I've got oh, what's the word? I can't think of the word.
Guild?
You got a quest?
Yeah, that'll work. I have a quest that I need to fulfill.
I understand. I just want to let you know that no matter what, I'll always vouch for you here. If you ever need to go anywhere, if you ever need anywhere safe, this is the safest place in Azuna.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I'll always remember that.
I'm not sure we're going to see each other much after you leave.
No, we have to treasure the time we have together.
He doesn't say anything in response. He just looks over the clouds before you. Back at the as we get back to the boarding house, what's everyone doing?
Cascus will have a chat with Ugo. Ideally privately.
Sure. Yeah, you find somewhere. Ugo, like your room or Ugo's room.
Cool.
How was your evening, Ugo?
Yeah, it was not too bad. They have these spiky fruit. They say only eat the center, but the skin is a little spiky. It hurts a little bit, but it's not so bad once you get used to it.
Right. And you saw lots of places?
They have chestnut, and I think they say almond. Many nut, lots of nut.
Of course. Well, I hope you had a good time, but he kind of rolls over to the windows, kind of arms behind his back slightly, kind of looks out over the kind of surrounding buildings, and it's an incredibly beautiful place. You would not become too attached to this place, Ugo. We still have a job to do, remember?
I noticed earlier you do not give orange.
Oh, that was nothing. It was just not the right time, Ugo. It was, you see, we'll have lots of opportunities later. Cascus is flustered by what you said. Slightly.
Did you eat the orange, Keskis? I know you get
No, I
snack. I know you get
No.
pickish sometimes. You do not have
Ugo,
to
I
hide
did not
it
eat the
from
snack.
me.
I did not eat the snack, Ugo. I did not.
Maybe you're a bit nervous. Maybe you needed a little bit of the alcohol.
Ugo, stop that right now. I will not answer these questions anymore.
Okay,
You are
okay.
pushing it very, 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 very far at the moment.
I am sorry. I only tease.
You get the sense that Cascus was in fact being particularly pushy to tell you to stop when you mentioned the nervousness point. Suggesting maybe even 2 ago it was just that obvious. And there was something there. But there will be plenty of time for that in the future. But you need to remember the people around us. They will try to obstruct our goal here. You know that, including our guildmates.
Do you have your eye on anything in particular?
Yes. Be careful of the one who calls himself Cyan. He's not good for business. You see, we are employed, are we not, by Dom Aiden, and we have been given a job to do, and hopefully when we build trust, it will give us more opportunities to go further into this wonderful continent, hopefully. Rodburns, these people, they are like a tree that is in autumn. The leaves are falling, and it is only a matter of time before they will all leave.
They say this place has been around for many thousands of years. How do you know that they will not be around longer?
Humans, Ugo, us, we are intrepid and incredibly far-reaching, but we are also, and myself included, greedy. And I do fear that, and as has been the case for many years, but stand for elves just sitting around here. Any excuse and poof. Yeah, Ugo, you know that mistrust is rife within the city of the Rotterans. I'm just saying, just be careful who you speak to here. We are here not out of choice necessarily, and we shouldn't make ourselves too known.
All I have spoken to so far, they seem friendly. They do not... They give me food. They do not seem to mistrust. Maybe they do. Maybe they see me and see you, see all of us. Think we're outsider. Do not trust inherently. But they don't seem bad. They seem innocent. Like they do not know bad. They have never been taken advantage of.
Well, then they are naive, and I pity them.
Except Kaedar. She has seen things.
That is all I had to say tonight, Ugo. I do as you will,
Okay.
but
All right. So as the night progresses, and you guys just get settled, eat your fill, which is nice to feel like comfortably full, even for you, Ugo. Eventually it gets to the point where the fungus that always gives this sort of like glow to the city, that always makes it look like daytime, begins to shift in tone and hue until it gets to a sort of like evening glow, and then eventually late at night a very faint sort of greenish glow falls on the city. Yarrow, as you're trying to get to sleep, the little window in your room is like illuminated by something in the street, and it's like getting in your eyes, and you just can't, like, you're trying to put like a bit of a duvet over your eyes, and It's very annoying.
Oh, bloody heck. What is it? She's going to get out of bed and go and look at the window.
Yeah, as you, it's sort of like coming through the shutters at the moment. So as you open up the shutters, you see in the center of the street, with all the Rodran elves having gone to bed, looking down, there doesn't seem to be any guards in the street or anything. It seems to be completely quiet. There is a fox standing in the middle of the road. It's lit with a sort of radiant light, and it seems to glow as it's just sort of sat looking up at you.
She's going to wave at it and smile uncertainly.
It sort of begins to stand up, and then bows to you. It goes down. Its front legs sort of like dip down. Its head goes down in this sort of like deep, graceful bow. And then it sort of looks up at you, and then turns around and begins walking down the street.
She's going to bow back at it around the same time that it's bowing. And then, I mean, how hard is it to race out of there? Like,
you can climb out the window.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's what I meant. She's going to leap out the window and try and follow it.
Okay.
Head first out the window onto the floor.
Yeah, you can make me a acrobatics check for the landing. Okay, it's a bit of a rough landing. It's not very graceful, and you sort of just like, and you sort of tumble out the window and just fall into like a little row of bushes that's outside. But it breaks your fall. It doesn't hurt particularly. And as you get up, the fox itself is just walking down the road, not looking back, and you begin to follow it. Strange.
She's going to follow it, and she's going to attempt to be kind of quiet so that she's not disturbing anyone.
Yeah, sure. Make me a stealth check as well.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, no. I need to do that for you because stealth
mystery.
is a mystery check.
Ooh, mystery, eh?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember to do them when. Okay, so continuing down the road, there doesn't seem to be anyone. There doesn't seem to be any guards. There doesn't seem to be anyone awake at this time. It just seems to be just you, to be honest, walking down the street, and the fox, of course. But sneaking down, the fox walks down the main thoroughfare. So you walk past all the closed-off markets. You walk past the grove that you had been in before, and you watch as it descends into the cave at the end of the road, where all the roots of the tree like funnel into.
Meant to go down there, but this is a sign from my spirit, surely. Oh no, what do I do? I mean, I've got to follow it. Yeah, she's gonna follow it.
Okay, so going down, having a look around, just like a final little check. Make me a perception check for me, Yara. Perception is going to be on the left of your character sheet, by the way. It's not going to be with the proficiencies. It's going to be on that little bar on the left. There we go. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be anyone around that you can note it, that you see. You feel pretty content that you're just going in here without anyone knowing. The fox begins to lead you down. You manage to catch up with it, and it's a sort of multi-tailed fox that just is sort of walking with like a graceful nature, like it's sort of illuminating the cavern around it. You see on the cavern walls, there's these ancient cave paintings of elves fighting different monsters. You see a whole bunch of elves drawn in like almost stick figure shape with spears and bows, fighting this hunched over sort of silhouette shadowy figure with this like sort of mask on its head and all these tendrils sort of rolling out of it. You see almost like recountings of battles and ancient things that have gone on over the millennia in these caverns. And eventually the cavern opens up. And you see, as the fox leads you through, it takes you down one turning, and then it takes you down another. And it takes you down another. And then eventually, the cavern opens up and reveals that you're inside the center of an absolutely huge root. Like, the walls are made out of bark. And in little indented indents inside the bark that have been carved out by hand, there are these jars, hundreds and hundreds and thousands of like almost ornate urn-like jars that are put along the sides of these walls in this root system that you're walking through. The urns themselves, they're small, they're painted, they have all these sort of like elven geometric patterns all around them, and they're sort of mostly white, and they sit there untouched. The fox eventually stops and sits next to one and sort of like looks towards it.
She's going to walk up to the urn that the fox is looking at.
The fox sort of nudges it with its nose.
You speak? What is it?
You feel it doesn't move its lips, but you hear in your mind a voice speaking to you. It is something I need. Open it.
She's gonna take a moment to look and feel uncertain because she feels like she's doing something she definitely isn't meant to be doing. So she's gonna say, "Who sent you?"
That is. It looks at you, and you see like its eyes are sort of a glowing white, like a radiant white. Like, it doesn't have irises or pupils or anything. It's just a pure magical power and like an essence. And it looks directly at you, and it says, "It is complicated. This is necessary."
Well, you foxes you've never led me wrong before. It's just, I feel like I'm not meant to be here.
That is true.
What do you want me to do with it?
Open it. Take it. Open it.
She's going to assume that it's a sign from her spirit.
Yep.
Her spirit guardian, and she's going to go and open it because she wouldn't, even though she's doubting that she's meant to be doing this, she also wouldn't disobey what she sees as a direct order from her, like, spirit guardian.
Yeah. As you take the urn and open it, you see it's full of ash. It's just full to the brim with ash.
Why do you want the ashes of someone?
Upturn it.
You want me to upturn it? But whose ashes is this?
Make a diplomacy check.
Nice.
The fox says, "A bad person. Upturn it."
Really trusting you here, though. Your kind has never led me wrong before, but ooh, she then upturns it, but she's definitely like cringing heavily as she does it.
Yeah, as you upturn it, you see it like bit by bit. It starts out as a trickle and then becomes a flood of ash pouring out of this urn. As it hits the ground, dust sort of like spits up in the air as a little cloud. There's like something weighty and a lump inside it. And as you upturn the urn, this like big lump of something meaty or fleshy like drops out and then slaps on the floor. And as you look down at it, it's sort of dusty. It's like covered in ash, but it's a heart.
That's disgusting.
And then you wake up. The next morning comes by. You aren't sure whether it was a dream or not.
She doesn't even really want to know.
It felt very real, and yeah. As you wake up in the morning, your head is sort of banging. As you get up and sort of start to dress yourselves, you notice that the clothes that you had been put away from the night before. There is a bit of dust on the bottom of the shoes and shorts and stuff you're wearing. But you're not sure whether that's ash or just from the day of adventuring before. You hadn't quite noticed it. Henning.
Oh, what have I done?
Henning, that night, as you are also preparing yourself for bed, you begin to drift off. And then you suddenly feel this really warm... there's something warm in your room that is like making you sweaty. It's like a big heater. And as you open your eyes, like, what the hell is that? You've realized that the corner of your room is on fire.
Shit. Fire? How can there be fire? They don't have fires here.
Make a perception check for me.
No.
It's on the left of your character sheet.
Oh yeah.
17. You realize that the fire is not how fire normally looks. Yes, it's burning, and yes, it's warm, but it doesn't seem to be catching on anything. There seems to be like a lot of wood in this building that if there was a fire, it would be spreading. But on a chair on the corner of your room is a burning figure, just sat there, cross-legged, staring at you.
It's you, isn't it?
Yes. And welcome back.
You've been awfully quiet these last couple of days.
I have been thinking. He stands up and begins pacing up and down the room. You feel it's warm. Like as you're sat there, it's like almost like meters, like about a meter away from your face is this burning, raging volcano fire, where you can just about make out like a skeleton underneath that's sort of burning.
Oh, I suppose you could turn down that heat a bit.
I suppose I could. And he clicks his fingers, and all the flames subside, revealing what seems to be an elf, perhaps. With red hair, sort of spiky ridges on his head, which goes quite high up, and he's got quite a big forehead. Like his hairline starts quite high up his head, and it's just like almost Klingon-like ridges all down it. His skin is red, and he has this sort of almost like, I don't know, almost like jovial look on his face, almost like he's finding something really funny.
What are you finding so funny?
You know how long it's been since I've been here.
Been here
A
before?
long time.
Who even are you? You haven't explained. Why are you in my head?
I'm not in your head.
Not now, you're not. No, but... No, but now you stand before me.
It was the agreement we made, Henning. You wanted revenge. I give you the power to have that revenge. I don't see why you have to be so uptight about it.
Not uptight about it. Just haven't really told me what you want, what I need to do.
How would you like to make a weapon for me?
A weapon for you?
It's for you, but it's a mutually beneficial sort of thing.
Okay. What sort of weapon?
There is a blueprint in this city. I remember because I put it there myself. Long time ago. If you can find it, you can make it. I will guide you.
Okay, where do we start?
You will have to distract the Kyodar.
That might be more difficult than you think.
I think you will find it's a lot easier than you think. Poor woman, she spent most of her energy keeping this poor tree alive. If only she knew that a single match could bring everything down.
Henning pulls out one of his alchemist fire potions and sort of twiddles with it.
There we go. We're getting the idea now.
I guess it wouldn't be too difficult, but they'll know it was me. There's no way. How would I get away with that?
Pin it on one of your friends.
I can't do that.
Pin it on one of the captive elves. Free them.
Hmm.
Cause a fuss.
Well, that does make more sense. Wouldn't want to pin it on an ally just yet. How would I get them out without anyone knowing it was me, though?
The thing about the Rodrans, which I think you'll come to find very soon, is that they're not very savvy on security. They believe that their portals protect them, so they don't bother defending anything. I think that you're smart enough to make your own decisions up on this regard, but just know that they have a changing of the guard in about 40 minutes. And every 40 minutes. And because the Rodrans are lazy, there's always about 5 minutes that there's no guard, so looking over them.
Good amount of time. Make my plan. Okay. You've got.
I promise you, Henning, this weapon will change everything. If you can make it for me, and you can do the things on the blueprint to make it, well, let's just say you will have your revenge. Certainly. No one will be able to stand against you.
Okay. You got yourself a deal.
I know. We made that deal already. But remember, there's a lot of things in this city. I'm sure it's changed a lot since I last came here. If you can, let's say, find whatever else about it you can, I'm sure that it will also help. There are ancient artifacts in this city, and the Kyodar is not as all-knowing as the Rodrans make her out to be.
I'll bear that in mind whilst we're here.
Very well.
You haven't told me your name, by the way. How should I address you?
Well, you can call me Vance.
Vance. Okay. Well, Vance.
But I have many names. I have been known as a lot of things in my time. Surely one day you will discover.
I'm
But
sure
I have always
we'll
been
find out.
one to make deals and be very fair in those deals. So the name of Vance is the name that I go by today.
Okay, Vance. Well, I'm sure you'll be either in my head or appearing to me again soon.
Tally ho! There's like a fire, like a sort of like fluttering of fire, and like a tiny little wisp of smoke, almost like a candle's been blown out there. As you set yourself back down in bed, like, what the hell just happened?
Well, I guess I'll be releasing those elves when I get the chance. Every 40 minutes with 5 minutes. That'll be easy.
All right. Is that something you're going to do tonight, or are you going to think about it a bit more? Because we can organize that more for next week if you want to do that next week.
Yeah, we'll organize that next week.
Cool. Fine. Right. So then, in that case, the rest of your night goes off without issue.
Mhm.
Wake up the next morning. All of you feel refreshed. Some of you feel confused. But it is, again, a beautiful day. It seems like there are no such things as other than beautiful days in Sethel. What would everyone like to do?
I would like to see if Simeon's around.
Sure. As you're preparing your morning stuff, there is a knock on the door, and an early morning Simeon arrives. He says, "I hope all of you slept well."
Mm.
Yes, I slept well at least.
Yes, I slept fine.
Yeah, I slept fine.
Not a problem at all. Had a lovely sleep.
Simeon raises an eyebrow.
Yeah, sorry, I'm doing a roll on that. I think that is a warranted roll.
Simeon?
Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah, make it insight. I see a what's it called? Sense motive.
Yeah.
Simeon turns to you, Cyan. Yes.
May I discuss a couple things with you in private?
You may. He leads you to a sort of side corner.
So we were keeping secrets from each other.
So, hi. First of all, this isn't necessarily a secret, but you mentioned an armory. Do you know where I can grab some stuff, or do I need to talk to the Kayadar about that?
Ah, of course. It's not that far away from where you left your items when you came here. It is just by the Kayadar's quarters.
Okay. I would also like to speak with her.
Okay. He says that is fine. I actually planned on taking you to her today. I think she has
me.
just you.
There's a couple things I need to discuss with her. Very urgent.
Like what?
I can't risk the others overhearing.
Sorry, you're safe here. It is improper to ask of private
Some of
meetings with the Kayadar.
Some of them are strangers in a way. And I have private matters.
Very well. We will find this space for you to speak to the Kayadar alone when the others. But I fear that your friends might be suspicious that you are speaking to her alone.
They're suspicious already. Yesterday was proof of that.
Yes. Well, can I be honest with you, Cyan?
Yes.
I find that if anyone here is suspicious in the group that has arrived here, it seems to be you. Why is it that you're so secretive? Why do you not know about our law? Why is it that you seem to speak to the air and grasp out at it?
I shall answer these questions in order. The first is because lies have kept me alive. It has been how I have spent my entire life and has prevented those who wish me harm from destroying me.
Well, all are entitled to their privacy here in Sethel. We do not discriminate.
Respectfully, I have known elves for far too long, and there are some limits to this. There are things I'm sure even your people whisper of.
Right. And speaking to... You said something about you see a creature yesterday. I did speak to the Kayadar about this. I did let her know. She may ask more of you.
I'm certain she will. Just know this, no matter what you learn about me or anyone else, I will do what I can to help you.
Make a diplomacy check.
Okay. Proficiencies, there we are. Diplomacy. Ah.
Okay. He said he seems to be suspicious at that. He says, "Very well, Cyan. I will let the Kyodar know. Is there anything else you have for me?"
No, just directions to where I can pick up some things. I find myself lacking in ranged combat, so to speak.
Ah, fine. When we all go to the Kyodar, then I will take you there. And as part of that, I will, you can speak to the Kyodar after you go to the armory as well, if you like.
Okay, thank you.
Right, he walks back into the main open room. Right, everyone, are we ready to see the Kyodar again? She has news for you all.
Ah, does she have blood?
I did not ask that of her. I assume
What
she does.
he is trying to say is we are ready.
Very well.
Well, if you say so.
He begins. He says to all of you, "You can leave your things here. No one will enter. This is yours to live in for now. So leave your your personal property here and come with me. There's no need to encumber yourselves."
Okay.
And again, he leads you up the main thoroughfare to that lift where you get on. You notice that as you're walking down, like by the lift, it's near that cave system, and you see that there's a few like Rodran hunters going in and out of it, and sort of like talking outside. And make me a perception check, everyone. See what people see as they walk past it.
I do love how that's done.
Yeah, that's cool.
What with the dice?
Where they all
They bounce
collide
into
with
each
each
other.
other.
It is cool. It is cool. It's something that Roll20 does have, but it doesn't do as well.
Yeah.
So Yarrow, Hanera, Yarrow and Hanera. I mean, Yarrow, you notice this because like you're quite nervous about walking past there. But you see one of the Rodran hunters like pulling out one of these little urns and showing another one, and then like turning it around, and he like one of them looks inside and notice is sort of saying to the other one like, obviously it's empty, like what's going on? And Hanera, you see the same thing. Before one of the leaders goes up to them and takes the urn off them and walks off. All right. So
Nothing to see.
yeah,
Nothing to do with me.
nothing to do with me. Right. So how about in that case? Oh yeah, no. Let's carry on. So as you arrive, do you have the sort of like the little as you get to the that floor where the Kyodars are? There's like a little place to store your weapons, which you've done already, and then you notice that a bit further down the corridor is there's like a bunch of storerooms and weapon storerooms. Simeon says to you all, "I have it on authority that you are allowed to take whatever you like from the storeroom. This is spare things that we aren't necessarily super bothered about losing."
How many? I imagine ranged ammunition is of importance. How much of that are we allowed to take?
Well, we tend to not struggle with making it. So you can take as much as you like, but take what you need. Don't take more than you need.
Okay.
Is there stuff that looks expensive?
Make a perception check.
11.
Okay. So in here, this is like going in, and Casca is starting to organize what's in here. This is just like a bunch of stuff that they, not that one, and there, yeah. So this is what you find in there, and then also you find any basic weapon of your choice that is elven. So like longbows, short bows. No crossbows, no like no double-handed swords or anything like that. Like no great swords, for example. But if you wanted just a regular longsword or a regular whatever, you can take that as well.
I'll take a curved blade, a short bow, and it's 20 arrows. Okay.
20 is fine.
Cool.
We'll go. Come here, come here.
Yes.
Open up your satchel, quick.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to take these, and yes, it's quite good. And just one of those. And can you just like take a few of like I don't know, like thunderstones, some just like the things that look at a quick glance like he doesn't really know what he's looking at.
Yeah. So these ones with numbers on them that's the amount that's in that room. So there's only 2 thunderstones in that room.
That's fine.
There's only 3 energy mutagens, etc.
Just like those things, then those like top 2 maybe. I don't know,
Yeah.
just like whatever.
Hang on a minute.
Oh,
yeah, like everyone is here, so like
that's well.
Excuse
that's
me,
fine.
Cascus. It's not
Yes,
all
what-
for you. Hand over the bottle of lightning.
What is
You-
this?
You have no idea what that even is.
Fine, you have it.
Give it.
I will take the. And this is more bottles. You want this?
And the mutagen.
Fine. Yeah. What is
An energy mutagen.
I can do stuff with it.
energy mutagen.
It's mutagen's like a whole branch of like alchemy, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's basically a potion. It's a is it lesser? Yeah, it is lesser. Resistance 5 you get from it, and add 1 point of damage on a hit with a melee weapon. So resistance 5 is basically you take 5 less damage on every
Yeah.
hit.
Pretty handy.
Yari wants some of the eagle eye elixirs.
Sure.
What's shiver?
That's a poison. What's his name? Simeon says that is one of our most dangerous poisons that we produce in bulk here in Rodrana. You are welcome to take it, but I would be careful. It can cause madness.
I'm going to take one of the bottles.
It causes temporary madness and then makes them fall asleep.
Does it kill?
It will not kill.
Okay.
No, we use it. We use it for peace purposes, of course. Like if, for example, someone needs a bit of time out here in Sethel, we can give that to them in their food or in other ways. You notice that the hunters that follow you around have methods of giving you it without you knowing. So,
What's sunrod?
Sunrod. That is a rod that
Is
basically,
of the sun.
yeah, pretty much
Whoa.
it just glows. It sheds bright light in a 20-foot radius around you.
It's
So
basically
it's
just
like
a very.
forever torch.
Yeah.
It's basically like a big reusable match.
Yeah. Well,
Nice.
it's not. It
But
doesn't
not,
have
but it's not on fire.
It's not on fire. Yeah. Exactly.
Big reusable glow stick.
We'll go stick this in your bag.
Okay.
Simeon says the Kaidar may be willing to give you something else if you please her. I did notice that she had some things prepared. I feel that she is willing to send you on your way at some point. But again,
Okay.
there is no rush.
And
So,
then,
has all this been handed out then?
I don't
what's
think
that?
we've had a conversation about the. There's one eagle eye elixir left, I think, because I think Yarrow took one. Unless somebody else took another one.
There's at least one shiver left because I only
And-
took one of those.
There's another. Yeah, there's another shiver.
And the origin unguent.
Yep.
So it basically is like a glue that if two things come from the same thing, like come from the same object, it like seamlessly glues them together.
Say that again?
So like if you break a pot and you want to glue it back together, there you go, it works fine. But if they're two different things, it just doesn't work.
Okay. And what is the Thunderstone? I don't know if we mentioned what that is.
I think it's like
It's a
it goes
weapon.
bang.
Yeah, it's like a grenade.
Okay, cool.
So
I'll take one of those as well.
yep, take a Thunderstone, I guess. Maybe I'll carry the unguents as well.
Make sure that you're putting the right kinds of thunderstones in because it's lesser,
Yeah.
moderate, greater, major, etc., etc. So it's a moderate one.
I'm happy for you guys to carry all the stuff that Cascus would have otherwise.
Okay, so that'll be
Like you picked up a few things, so you go.
so a Thunderstone, 2 Origin unguents, the
Yes.
the Sunrod. Is there anything else?
I think that's it.
There's no ammo or anything that either you need or like. No. Okay. Cool. Right. In that case, let's stop there then, shall we?
Cool.
Okay,
Cool.
There's only 5 minutes too.
All right.
Cool. Well, thanks for playing. Yeah, and then we'll get on to next session next week.
Yeah.
Cool.
Or if you play.
I am excited.
Yeah, me too.
Good stuff. Thanks for playing.
I'm excited to burn it all down.
See you
Yeah.
next week, Russian spammers.